Federation of Euro-Asian Stock Exchanges. I'm still from my home. We are working partly from home in the office, and today I am continuing the series of FEAS talks with our friend, not only affiliate member of FEAS, but also a close friend of FEAS. Paul Constantinou is president of Association of Future Markets. Thank you, Paul, for joining me today.
It's my pleasure to join. It's always nice to meet our friends in FEAS and to see that we're all in a similar environment for working in at the moment.
Yeah, but we are getting used to that, but we hope to meet soon in person. Paul, yeah, 2020 made a lot of surprises for all the world. And we as an association are in this surprising together. Will you please tell us where the Association of Future Markets is standing now and what are the plans for the next year?
Well, now, I think it's fair to say that, let's just make one opening comment. The one thing, probably the one big thing we learned this year, forgetting all the interpersonal interactions and social things and community and everything else, the one other thing that we've learned is that we can no longer take anything for granted. We can't assume tomorrow will be the same as today. And I think a lot of people maybe have always worked like that, but I think all of us now realize that in all channels of our lives, this is a truth. And so at the same time, we mustn't forget the need to always keep planning, looking forward and building. So don't take anything for granted. Tomorrow could be different to today, but at the same time, keep planning and building and be flexible. So they're key things. It's a lot easier to be flexible and reactive if you have a firm foundation. And at least then there's always, what do they call it in the circus, the guy walking on the wire, he has a safety net. And in organizations, whatever they are, a firm foundation, a solid base is the safety net. In common with a number of industry associations, and I guess with FEAS, AFM, Association of Futures Markets, over 20 years old. And we've been able to fall back on that. That length of time in existence, the structures that have been created because of that, and the very loyal member base has contributed a lot to enable us to, as much as we can, try to realize a business as usual type of situation. And so this year, what's happened this year? Well, this year, we were in an interesting situation where we had a conference planned in May, and clearly that had to be cancelled. And it was then, like maybe a lot of organizations, we cancelled it in March. And when things got to the point where everywhere had lockdowns and travel restrictions, so we cancelled in March. So but it was it's our annual event, the big event. So we immediately rescheduled it for September. Guess what? Yeah, it's cancelled again. So we decided in around May time that in case the feeling that September was going to prove impossible as well, in case that became a reality, which of course it did, that we would do an alternative. And so we decided to do a virtual event. And we had experience of some degrees of virtuality, if that's a word that exists, that AFM being a very global organization, we're not a big organization, but we have a member base that threads itself up the Americas, across Europe, into Asia, down into Africa. And we have a board that is constituted of people from across those countries. And so we have deep experience of having, for example, all our board meetings, whereas not necessarily Zoom or Teams or WebEx or any of the other tools you can buy, as they say, we don't advertise. They tended to be voice only. However, I think we did a couple of video attempts in the past. So we were used to communicating amongst ourselves as a group at board level. And we thought, well, let's just transpose this. Let's just try it. One or two of the people had experienced a similar thing in other events. I'd done a couple, and it was quite feasible to do it. And what amazed me was the availability of different technologies suddenly mushroomed out of everywhere to support it. We've been doing it on Zoom or Teams. We haven't used professional webinar tools or anything like that, or voting buttons or anything, but that's not the type of organization we are. And it worked for us. We had our annual conference. We had our general assembly. We voted in new board members. We passed the accounts. We did all the things that we would normally have done in a physical group. During the conference events, we had one theme that clearly if we'd have been in a physical environment, and if it had been the last topic of the day, it would have taken us into dinner. There is no doubt about that. And this was quite a thematic topic, because, you know, one of the challenges in the markets this year has been to really been not to keep going, because we've seen across different futures markets, different derivatives markets in different geographies, that we could track the volumes and the liquidity in those markets and see how it fits. And it fitted quite nicely into the unfortunate curve of the impact of COVID in those markets. So it was like a double wave, where there was one market that was running as the other market was building, and then everything went down, but then came back again. And most of our members haven't really suffered. They're all involved in markets that are, you know, they're not so much financial, but even in financial markets, there's been a lot of volatility. But commodities, and people, they've still got to produce, sell food, energy. People want to turn the light on, you know, use the gas and whatever. It goes on. But the challenge has been to keep developing new products. And there is a big debate about physical against derivatives, which products should really be at the forefront at the moment, how those products should be designed to support each other. And that dialogue was going on. And we're going to have maybe a 2-hour panel dedicated to that topic. We've got a date in late October the 29th, and we've got exactly the same panelists coming in on the same, whatever it was, I think it was Teams in that meeting connection. And we're expecting quite a large attendance for that. We pride ourselves on the education that we can give our members, and our members talk to each other, and we run education programs for our members. And whereas I wouldn't call a debate about products an education program, it's coming out of what we did in the main conference, which then came out of the need and the realization that we had to keep communicating. So where do we stand? Notwithstanding the lack of physical meetings, the ability for someone from Argentina to have a 15-minute chat over a cup of coffee with someone from Taiwan, you know, you can't put a price on that. And to be able to do that in another country as well, but you can't put a price on that, as anybody who's involved in any global organization knows. And that is difficult, but I know that there have been not private, but conversations using video and whatever that are beginning to replace some of those physical conversations. And that's healthy.
From your side, are you going to replace them totally, or to have like something mixture of it, or will that be changed?
I think we might get a blend. We had a blend one year, about 4 or 5 years ago. We were doing a tech conference. We try to do an annual conference at the half year. We try to do a shorter one day or whatever. And the last couple of times have been tech. One of the tech events, we had a couple of people who couldn't make it to travel from the US to Europe for one day, which is obvious. But rather than have an interactive video, we were able to have show a recorded presentation and then dial in the person for some question and answer. So, that was a blend. We did that a couple of times, and that seemed to work. We've had good experiences with the remote conferencing so far, and it might be we might go for a blend going forward to accommodate people who can't make the physical event. I think it's general consensus is that that the physical event has a lot of value, and it has a lot of value that is not just sitting in a hall and listening to 4 or 5 people talk wisely about a topic and maybe ask a question. It has a value in the ability to have informal conversations about common interest topics. And that's what's hard to replace. And that's why I think we will go back to physical meetings, as we won't rush.
Yeah, this is a good message to all our members, that associations are for communication, whether it is online or offsite. So you mentioned that for some of your members, the change of some products and in their delivering or in their style will be for coming year. And what about the association itself? What do you think the association's goal? Will they be changed, or will be the same, or in different way? What is your
good point. I mean, let me add one thing on the organisation. We've increased the membership this year, and if someone had told me at the beginning of March, or in March, when everything got into that initial chaos, that during the course of the next few months you will increase the membership of the AFM, I'd have, who could have thought it? And and it's and that's been a good move, and that was for us reassuring. It shows that perhaps we still have value, and I think that's one of the things that will the organisation change because of this? No, it won't, because our mission is to provide the opportunity for people to learn, to share knowledge and learn, share experiences and benefit from that sharing, and that you can't suddenly stop doing that. It's what we do, it's what we're known for, and so no, I don't think the goals of the organisation will change. Probably not even the structure. The delivery methods we've just spoken about, yes, they might start to vary. We may get hybrids.
Yeah, well, congratulations on these new members. FEAS is on its way also. We will announce this, but how did you manage this? The promotion thing of the association, what has changed there, and how you came to this successful case with new members?
I haven't asked the new member which way round it was, but I actually think the member found us, and why not? It's if people find us, then it's. I have to be honest. We don't have the same amount of coverage and publicity as other organisations. We occasionally get through to things like LinkedIn, but and cross-referencing, and some of the cross memberships we have help us. but we don't push out as hard. We don't put out sort of statements and white papers and things. A lot of it is word of mouth, and it's the way we. One of the things I think that will drive us back to physical activity is the way our membership has grown in the past, due to the fact that we've had a conference in a country, and part of the host's not obligation but expectation is that they will encourage people from the region to come and join the conference, and that begins to spread knowledge about ourselves and spread the word, if you like, and that helps us create membership. And you can't do that if you're only working remotely. So and of course we don't have a full-time secretariat. Everything we do because we want to, because we like to, because we see the value and benefit. So unless we had a radical overhaul, I don't think we will change the way we work.
Great. So, and your members are finding the value in you and in your services. That's the main point where associations are succeeding, and this is showing that you are successful. And how are you keeping this positive communication thing between members? Are you doing something in this way? Because these are difficult times, though they are not suffering that much, your members, as you mentioned, but these are difficult times with crisis. But how are you keeping this positive communication?
Well, the conference helped. Our website is okay. Our members know our website and they go to it and they find things on there. And we're always doing little activities with 2 or 3 members. We had a member recently who asked for some support with some activities they want to do in their market, and we were able to help. And in doing so, we involved 1 or 2 other people and just created another little hub of activity, another little hub of knowledge. And I think that's how it works. That a lot of the people who are members know a lot of the people who are members, and we have activities that go between members, and that's how we do it. And I know from the uptake the uptake we got for the video event and what we normally get for the physical events, people look forward to it.
Yeah, people are missing physical events. Yeah. Your next event will be, if I'm not mistaken, soon. And as you mentioned, the educational part is coming on a first stage now. About who can join this event? Is it open, or this is only for your members? Can you just tell a bit detail about this?
The next event, the discussion about products, we're going to make open. Everybody who's listening to this, our discussion on products will be on our website. So it's afmorg.net, and it'll be on that. And I got a feeling a lot of the people who might pick up on it will know 1 or 2 of the panelists that are going to be involved. And certainly if they don't know them, they'll know their organizations. So we look forward to quite an interesting event on that day.
And FEAS here, we will for sure share about this upcoming meeting.
Excellent. Excellent.
And we as associations, we are like friends and affiliate members of each other. So we will have this also distributed through our channel, and we will be there with you to learn, because we have different product lines. So I will be
product
there.
Line, sure. Different member bases, and that cooperation is what makes things keep moving, I think.
Yeah, and the point here is the associations. The idea of, we know each other, but the idea of associations is not the competition, rather than cooperation. And we from FEAS side are very, very thanks to AFM for this cooperating things between these 2 associations. And the very last question, what do you think will be changed?
Who knows? Look, a lot of it is down to mindset. A lot of it is, and I have to be careful what I say because I could get political, but I think we owe it to each other to take a strong and disciplined approach to trying to slow down the spread of this thing that's stopped everything, and to buy time until there are good remedial drugs or a vaccine. We've got to take that view. We then have to be realistic, and I think realistic in many respects, and I think the expectation of how people will behave the expectation and the reality have got to come together. And I think in the next 5 years, we will see a marked change in the way people function. And there's going to be you can call it an evolution if you like, but there's going to be a change. Somebody who's just graduating now, in 5-6 years' time, she will be doing whatever they're doing, but they won't be doing it the same as their contemporaries 10 years ago would have done. Technology is moving very, very quickly, and in the professional capacities, and we have to talk about the professionals, the ability to function efficiently in a remote environment is getting better and better. The opportunities to do that are getting better and greater, and that won't stop. And the people who can do that owe it to the people who can't do that to ensure that everybody is able to function as well as possible and as safely as possible. If you like, the regard we all have for each other has to change and has to become better. And we can't revert. If this was, my gosh, if we were back now, if this was in the 80s mindset today, the bad statistics would be worse, where everybody was in it for themselves and there was no sense of cooperation. I won't even talk about what's going to change politically, because that will happen as well. The whole way that the world is managed has to change. And this is perhaps more than a shock. This has been, it's going to be a reboot, but in a positive way. As long as things keep turning and things keep happening in markets, in industry, in government, then the change will happen. And it will be driven by people who are a lot younger than me, and may I say, probably younger than you as well. I think there's a groundswell of people under 30 who are going to drive this thing forward. They're not going to accept going back to before, and nor should they.
Yeah.
So yeah, and one of the other things that we talked about in the last conference actually as well was employers being mindful of how they interact with their employees, and the remote working is going to bring about a different style of management. And God forbid that technology is misused, and we've already had cases of people using surveillance technology on corporate laptops issued to their staff, and I've heard of one organization that records every keystroke. Mm-hmm. You don't manage like that in a physical environment. Well, I hope people don't. And I think technology is good, but it can also be evil, and if it can have a detrimental effect. So we have to be careful. That's what I can say. We just have to be careful and just take structured steps. We'll get out of this, but we got to be structured and careful.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks.
Thank you very much.